Stoics hold a profound and often challenging view of the world, one that places a burden of excellence squarely on the shoulders of the individual. They argue that our peace and virtue are not found in altering the external world, a futile endeavor, but in mastering our internal judgments and reactions to it. This philosophy provides a powerful framework for navigating all of life's complexities, not least of which are our relationships with others and specifically with women. While Stoicism teaches us to treat everyone with justice, kindness, and respect, it also offers pragmatic counsel on the unique dynamics between men and women, advising a posture of careful discretion and self-possession. This guidance is not rooted in deceit or misogyny, but in a deep understanding of human nature, social roles, and a paramount Stoic ideal of self-mastery. To be a master oneself requires knowing what to reveal and what to hold in sacred confidence. In this exploration, we will delve into one particularly pointed aspect of this wisdom: the 8 things a man must always hide from a woman. This is not about building walls of secrecy, but about forging an unbreakable character. Number 1, his weaknesses. A Stoic understands that the true measure of man is not taken during times of ease and comfort, but in the crucible of adversity. It is in these moments that character is revealed, tested, and ultimately forged. In the realm of personal vulnerabilities and hardships, a Stoic man consciously chooses a path that diverges from modern conventions. He recognizes that while sharing one's burdens is often touted as a strength, there's more profound power in dignified endurance. This is not an advocacy for the suppression of emotion or a denial of pain. Stoicism is not emotional nihilism. Rather, it is a conscious cultivation of a response characterized by calmness, patience, forbearance, and unwavering inner resilience. The Stoic man grasps a fundamental dichotomy: the external event itself, the injury, the failure, the hardship, is outside his control. However, his judgment of that event, his internal narrative about it, and his subsequent actions are entirely within his dominion. Therefore, he does not indulge in the common impulse to vocalize his suffering, to complain, or to seek pity, even from those closest to him, such as a lover or a wife. He understands that seeking external validation for his pain is a ceding of power. It places his emotional state and self-worth in the hands of another's reaction. Instead, he draws upon his own reservoir of fortitude. He endures, and he does so with a quiet resolve that speaks louder than any lament. This silent endurance is a transformative practice. By refusing to outsource his emotional stability, he builds an inner citadel that is immune to life's inevitable slings and arrows. He does not allow his weaknesses to define him or to erode his confidence. Instead, he views them as the raw materials for his own improvement. Every challenge is a lesson, every pain a teacher. In hiding his weaknesses from a woman, he is not being dishonest. He is demonstrating the highest form of respect for her by not burdening her with what he alone can carry, and for himself by proving he is capable of bearing the weight. He reveals not a flawless man, but a resilient one. He shows her his strength, not by pretending he has no weaknesses, but by showing her how a real man carries them. Number 2, his mistakes. To err is human. This, the Stoic acknowledges without reservation. Mistakes are an inescapable part of the human experience and the primary mechanism through which we learn and grow. However, the Stoic philosophy provides a nuanced approach to handling these errors, particularly in the context of how a man presents himself to a woman. It is a philosophy of humble ownership, not of public confession for its own sake. A Stoic man operates with a default position of diligence and careful consideration, striving to minimize errors through rational forethought. But when mistakes inevitably occur, his primary concern is not the opinion of others, but the integrity of his own learning process. He understands that indiscriminately revealing every misstep, especially in a way that highlights carelessness or poor judgment, can project an image of incompetence and folly. This is not about concealing faults out of pride or shame, but about exercising discretion in his communication. His process is introspective and disciplined. He first takes full and complete ownership of the error, without excuse, deflection, or the blame of others. He then engages in a rigorous analysis of mistake. What false judgment led to this action? What external thing did I mistakenly believe to be good or bad? What can this teach me about my own assumptions and biases? This is not a process of self-flagellation, but a calm, rational dissection. The lesson is integrated, and a plan for correction and future avoidance is formulated. The value of the mistake is extracted entirely within his own mind. It becomes internalized wisdom. He practices perseverance in rectifying the consequences of his error, demonstrating that his commitment to right action is stronger than his ego. Therefore, when he chooses not to verbally parade his every mistake before a woman, it is because the most important work has already been done internally. He has already absorbed the lesson. To vocalize it unnecessarily might be to seek absolution or validation. He does not require. He demonstrates his growth not through words of apology, but through improved action and wiser decisions. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught, it is not the things that happen to us that trouble us, but our opinions about them. The Stoic man concerns himself with correcting his erroneous opinions, not with managing others' opinions of his errors. In this way, he shows a woman a man who is defined not by his stumbles, but by his unwavering commitment to getting back up, wiser and more determined each time. And 3. His dreams. Ambition is the fuel of progress. But without the guidance of reason, it can become a runaway fire that consumes its host. The Stoic man possesses dreams and aspirations, but he relates to them in a manner profoundly different from the cultural norm. His approach is not one of loud proclamation and seeking external hype, but of quiet, determined, and realistic pursuit. He understands the seductive danger of vanity and the hollow chase of external validation. From a Stoic perspective, a dream is not a fanciful wish upon a star. It is a potential course of action that must be evaluated against the pillars of virtue, practicality, and what is within his control. The Stoic man is therefore exceedingly cautious about with whom he shares his deepest ambitions, especially with a woman. This caution is not rooted in a lack of confidence, but in a surplus of self-awareness. He knows that announcing a dream too early can trick the brain into a sense of accomplishment it has not yet earned, diluting the motivation required to achieve it. Furthermore, it opens a dream to the external judgments, doubts, and opinions of others, which are categorically outside his control and thus irrelevant to his mission. His focus remains fixed on his duties and the realistic, actionable steps right in front of him. He channels his passion into purpose, but that purpose is directed by a rational mind. He does not dream of becoming a famous musician. He commits to the duty of practicing his instrument for an hour each day. He does not dream of vast wealth. He focuses on the duty of providing value through his work and managing his resources with wisdom. The dream is the distant horizon. His duties are the steps he takes toward it. This practice cultivates a powerful sense of self-reliance. His sense of worth and progress is not tied to a woman's or anyone's applause or skepticism. He trusts his own judgment and his own capacity for effort. He is the sole auditor of his ambition. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. The Stoic man ensures his thoughts regarding his dreams are of high quality, realistic, virtuous, and process-oriented, not fantastical, vain, and outcome-dependent. By hiding his dreams in this way, by protecting them from the corrosive air of external opinion, and nurturing them with silent, consistent action, he does not diminish them. He fortifies them. When he does achieve his goals, the achievement is entirely his own, and the victory is sweeter and more authentic for having been earned in silence. He reveals to a woman a man of substance, not just talk, a man of action, not just fantasy. Number 4, his feelings. A common and profound misunderstanding of Stoicism is that it demands a complete suppression and eradication of emotion. This is a gross inaccuracy. The Stoic ideal is not to become an unfeeling statue, but to achieve a state where emotions do not become the master of reason. The Stoic man does not hide his feelings from a woman because he is devoid of them. He does so because he respects their power and refuses to be enslaved by them. His practice is one of profound emotional intelligence and mindfulness. He allows himself to feel the full spectrum of human emotion, anger, fear, joy, sadness, but he institutes a crucial pause between the feeling and the reaction. He examines the emotion. What judgment sparked this feeling? Is that judgment true? Is it rational? Is it helpful? He understands that emotions are not direct commands to act, but data points about his current interpretation of the world. This process allows him to manage his feelings with wisdom rather than be managed by them. A feeling of anger at a perceived slight is not immediately expressed as a sharp retort. It is first dissected. Perhaps the judgment that he was disrespected is flawed. Perhaps his own ego is the true source of the pain. By the time he chooses to communicate, his words are not a raw, irrational outburst, but considered rational response. Expressing every fleeting emotion to a woman, particularly negative ones like jealousy, insecurity, or rage, is an act of dumping internal chaos onto another person. It is a demand that they manage his emotional state for him. The Stoic man refuses to do this. He takes full responsibility for his own inner world. He projects a rational and calm demeanor not as a mask, but as a result of intense internal work. This creates a relationship environment of stability and safety, rather than a roller coaster of reactivity. He shares his feelings when it is appropriate and beneficial to the relationship, but he always does so from a place of mastery, not helplessness. He might say, "When X occurred, I interpreted it as Y, and that sparked a feeling of Z. I would like to understand your perspective. This is a world apart from an accusatory. You made me feel Z." The former is a communication from a self-possessed man. The latter is a charge from an emotional dependent. By hiding the raw, unprocessed torrent of his feelings, he offers a woman the gift of his stability and the strength of his reasoned character. Number 5, his secrets. In an age of oversharing, where privacy is often traded for a moment of connection or validation, the Stoic man stands as a bastion of discretion. His secrets, those personal thoughts, experiences, and confidences, are not currency to be spent for social gain. They are held in trust, as sacred aspect of his inner citadel and his honor. This is not about having something nefarious to hide, but about understanding the profound value of a well-guarded mind and the sanctity of trust. A Stoic man's commitment to secrecy begins with himself. He practices a discipline of silence, understanding that not every thought needs to be vocalized. He avoids gossip and slander relentlessly, recognizing them as vices that poison the soul and destroy social bonds. He keeps his own counsel, trusting his own judgment to navigate his life before seeking the often unreliable counsel of others. This extends to the secrets of others. If a confidence is placed in him, it becomes a solemn duty. To betray a secret is to betray his own virtue. It is an act of profound dishonor that reveals a weak and untrustworthy character. A man who cannot keep the secrets of others will certainly not be able to keep his own. In the context of a relationship with a woman, this virtue is paramount. It establishes him as a man of integrity and trust. He does not feel compelled to share every detail of his past or every private thought in his present to prove his openness. He understands that some things are meant to be worked through alone, and that a degree of mystery is not deception, but a natural and respectful boundary. He also understands the immense danger of sharing another person's secret with his partner. It is a double betrayal. This careful guarding of secrets is ultimately a form of respect. Respect for himself, for the sanctity of his own soul, for those who have trusted him, and for the woman in his life, whom he protects from unnecessary burdens or betrayals. The Roman statesman Cicero, who was influenced by Stoic thought, declared, "The most sacred thing in the world is the human soul." The Stoic man's secrets are part of that sacred inner world. By hiding them, he is not building a wall of deceit. He is building a temple of honor and trust, showing a woman that he is a man who can be relied upon in all things, especially in silence. Number 6, his pains. Physical and emotional pain are universal human experiences. How one chooses to meet this pain is a defining characteristic. The Stoic man meets his pains, be they physical ailments, emotional heartaches, or professional setbacks, not with vocal lamentation, but with a silent, steadfast, and almost cheerful endurance. He understands that displaying his suffering is not a virtue. Transcending it is. His philosophy is not that the pain does not exist or that it does not hurt. It is that his reaction to the pain is his to choose. He can choose to add to his suffering by complaining about it, by dwelling on its unfairness, by seeking pity, and by allowing it to darken his mood and the mood of those around him. Or he can choose to subtract from his suffering by enduring it with grace, by focusing on what he can still control, and by refusing to let it break his spirit. He does not moan or groan under the weight of his burdens. He bears them. He does not seek comfort or sympathy as a primary recourse. Instead, He sees pain as a challenge to his character, an opportunity to practice the virtues of fortitude and resilience. In a sense, he is grateful for the test, for it is only through such tests that he can prove and improve his mettle. The Stoic proverb, "Fire tests gold, misfortune tests brave men," is his mantra. He welcomes the fire, for he knows it will burn away the dross and leave only the pure, strong metal of his character. In a relationship, this is an immense gift. By hiding his pains, by not constantly verbalizing his struggles and ailments, he spares his partner the emotional labor of managing his discomfort. He becomes a source of stability, not another source of drama. He shows her that he is a reliable rock in a storm, capable of handling life's hardships without crumbling. This does not mean he never asks for help, but that his default state is one of resilient self-reliance. He reveals a man of strength and perseverance, a man who can be counted on to stand firm when difficulties arise, because she has seen him do it time and again, quietly and without fanfare. Number 7, his pleasures. If the Stoic man is discreet about his pains, he is doubly so about his pleasures. This is because Stoicism views pleasure not as an intrinsic evil, but as a potential trap. Unchecked pleasure can swiftly slide into indulgence, addiction, and a softness that erodes character. Therefore, the Stoic man engages with pleasure with an attitude of extreme temperance and mindful moderation, and he certainly does not feel the need to advertise his enjoyments. He understands that constantly discussing his pleasures, the decadent meal, the extravagant purchase, the thrilling experience, is a form of vanity and a seeking of external validation. It also feeds the very desire it describes, strengthening the craving. The Stoic aims to weaken the chains of desire, not strengthen them. He enjoys life's pleasures, but he is never owned by them. He can take them or leave them, and this detached mastery is his true goal. He practices caution and restraint. He avoids excess in all its forms, knowing that the path of overindulgence leads away from virtue and toward a slavery of the senses. He does not abuse or waste pleasures. He appreciates them in their proper measure and context. A fine wine is to be savored for its taste, not consumed for its intoxication. A good meal is to be enjoyed for its nourishment and flavor, not gorged upon for sheer gluttony. In his dealings with a woman, this is crucial. A man who is always talking about his pleasures or constantly seeking the next thrill presents himself as impulsive, hedonistic, and unreliable. His happiness is dependent on external stimuli, which are fickle and fleeting. The Stoic man, by contrast, finds his joy internally. His happiness is not contingent on the next pleasure, so he does not need to talk about it. His calm, steady contentment is far more attractive and reliable than the frantic energy of a pleasure seeker. As Epictetus succinctly put, freedom is not procured by a full enjoyment of what is desired, but by controlling the desire. By hiding his pleasures, by not making them a central topic of conversation or a primary pursuit, the Stoic man demonstrates his freedom. He shows a woman a man who is in control of himself, a man of moderation and self-discipline, who offers the stability of virtue rather than the volatility of desire. Number 8, his love. This final point is perhaps the most subtle and profound of all. A Stoic man must, in a way, even hide his love. This does not mean he is cold, unloving, or emotionally unavailable. Quite the opposite. It means he understands that the highest form of love is not a desperate, clinging, needy emotion, but a calm, rational, and deeply virtuous choice. He loves from a place of strength and independence, not from a place of lack and dependency. A Stoic man's love is not a demand. It is a gift. He does not love to get something, validation, security, completion. He loves to give something, respect, companionship, support. Because his love is not a need, it is never desperate. He does not constantly seek reassurance or make extravagant declarations to soothe his own insecurities. His love is quiet, steady, and demonstrated through his actions far more than his words. He maintains his independence within the relationship. He does not merge his identity with his partner's. He remains his own man, with his own goals, his own friends, and his own inner life. This makes his presence in the relationship a conscious choice every day, not a helpless dependency. This is incredibly attractive and secure. He loves his partner deeply, but he is prepared to accept the natural course of things, understanding that even this relationship is not entirely within his control. He practices respect, dignity, and equality. He never uses love as a tool for manipulation or control. His love is not a transaction. He loves with reason, which means his love is patient, kind, and just. It is not blinded by passion to the point of ignoring red flags or accepting poor treatment. As Marcus Aurelius advised, the best way to avenge yourself is not to become like the wrongdoer. Even in love, the Stoic man holds fast to his virtue by hiding his love in this way. By refusing to perform it hysterically or make a source of neediness, he offers a woman the most secure and genuine form of love possible. He shows her that he is with her not because he needs to be, but because he chooses to be every single day. He reveals a love that is mature, powerful, and built on the unshakable foundation of his own self-possessed character. These, then, are the 8 things a man must always hide from a woman, according to the wisdom of Stoicism. Let us be perfectly clear. This is not a manifesto for deception, emotional withdrawal, or coldness. It is a guide to cultivating a character of such strength, integrity, and self-possession that a man's very presence becomes a gift. It means that a man should be honest and loyal, but also discreet and modest. It means that a man should be warm and affectionate, but also rational and independent. It is the difference between a boy who is ruled by his impulses and seeks validation from the outside, and a man who is ruled by his virtue and finds his validation from within. By mastering these 8 principles, a man does not hide his true self from a woman. He reveals his truest and best self to her. He reveals through his actions and his demeanor, his courage, his wisdom, his integrity, his strength, his honor, his joy, his moderation, and the profound depth of his love. He reveals his virtue, which the Stoics believed is the only true good in life. This is a Stoic way of living and the Stoic way of loving. It is not an easy path. It demands constant vigilance, self-honesty, and discipline. It is often counter to the prevailing culture of oversharing and emotional dependency. It is not for everyone, but it is for the man who wishes to be a beacon of strength, a pillar of reliability, and a true partner in every sense of the word. We are the Stoics, and this is the way.